When people speak something over you and you take it in, it repeats itself. It's like it's on this feed where it just keeps repeating itself. And the person may have totally forgotten that they said it, but in your head, it continues to go. So I needed to break that cycle. But I will say that this year has been one of my most challenging, personally, this has been one of my most challenging years. And it's that I've learned to overcome. I've changed my mindset. And that is what makes a difference. So don't assume that somebody who does great things has it easy, and don't allow that to be your excuse.
Hello, everyone. I'm DeAnna Loudon, and welcome to Make Up Your Mindset with DeAnna and another episode of Look What She Did. This is where we get to spend time talking to industry leaders and entrepreneurs, and together we learn more about how they lead themselves well and their mindset to help encourage you to build your belief so you can accomplish your goals and live out your dreams, both in your personal life and your professional life, because what you believe to be true about yourself is powerful. Today, I'm so excited. I'm talking with the beautiful Twila Walker. Yay! So quick little intro. Twila first began her career in direct sales industry in 1999 as a way to save money on her favorite Mary Kay beauty products, and she was her own best customer. After a few years of being her own customer, she attended a company-sponsored success event and caught the vision of what life as a full-time self-employed beauty consultant could mean for herself and her family. Twila is a wife, a mom, and a glamma of 6 glam kids. Prior to becoming full-time self-employed in Mary Kay, Twila was an RN. And once Twila decided to become a full-time beauty consultant, she was able to promote herself to the ranks of the top 3% as an independent sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. Twila has earned a company-sponsored trip to the Bahamas. It was a cruise. She's earned gifts. She's earned jewelry. She's earned cars. She's earned cash. The girl has earned it. She works. She's earned it. But most recently, and why I asked Twila to join us, is that she and her team experienced a 55% increase in production in this past fiscal year and earned herself a promotion to a level up car. She's in a Chevy Equinox now, sleek, sexy Chevy Equinox. And she earned a diamond ring valued at over $1,200 and a diamond bumblebee pendant also valued at over $1,000. So I'm so excited for us to visit and for you to hear more from Twila and how she changed her mindset during a pandemic to give herself a 55% increase. So woohoo! Yay! It's Twila.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me do this. I feel honored. I do.
The honor's all mine for sure. I have actually had the opportunity to kind of hang around her a little bit in the last 12, 13 months. And while I did see her business increasing and I saw the things that were happening, what I saw mostly was that the way she was thinking was changing. And I said, girl, I got to know. I got to know, because you can always ask someone that is having some success or had success, what did you do? But what we should be asking them is, how did you change the way you think? Because really what you think is the most powerful part. Okay, so what's one thing you wish you had known about the Mary Kay business or this industry before you started?
That it was a real industry, like it was a real job. Like even as a consultant who just purchased products for myself, I never did training. I never went to any events. I didn't do anything other than when it was time for me to would order. I mean, I just didn't. And because of that, I did not realize that this was a real job and a real career. And it literally could be an avenue to take me to what I wanted ultimately for my life and for my family.
Right, because your background, medical industry, you're medical RN. Do I remember right? Were you in the ER? Were you an ER
mostly
nurse? Mm-hmm. And you did some nurse directing as well, right? You ran, yes. Yeah. So you had a really busy, encompassing career So for you to say this could also be a viable career was kind of eye-opening.
Oh, definitely. I really saw sales as kind of below me, if that makes sense. I had a snobby look. I mean, and it really came from ignorance because I had no clue, because I had not ever gotten into anything, to learn that it could be this, this is what I tell people. If I had known what this business was and what it could do for me and how much I would love it, I would have started 10 years earlier, but I just had no idea. I thought it was just something people did on the side.
Okay. Kind of like what you were doing to save money. Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of looking back over the past 12 months, or even think like the last 5 or 10 years, what do you feel like, is there a setback that you've ever had that you feel like you used as a set up for your success? Is there anything that has you've learned from it?
Well, early on, I had a lot of success in the business. So within 3 months, I was able to quit both my RN jobs. And I just took the skills that I used to work my medical job or career and just transfer those skills over to Mary Kay. And so basically what I was thinking is, there's no way I'm not going to do this. A lot like when I was in nursing school, like there was no way I was not going to finish, it was just, I was going to do it. So I was very disciplined. After I had some success and it had reached a level that really sustained itself for many years. But after I got to that level, I started allowing other people's opinions and other people's statements to take root in my heart and in my head. And I found that to be the hardest thing to get over, because once I did, I had a setback. I, had earned 2 cars, and then suddenly I didn't have any car. And I went for many years just kind of in this place where I was still a sales director, but I was not doing anything dynamic. It was really sustaining itself. I don't know how else to say. It was just, but it was at a lower level than what I was comfortable with. And I realized when I wanted to break out of that, I had to do some major head work because, you have that fear of, well, some people say, oh, well, I did it once before, I can do it again. Well, in my mind, I was like, I did it before, but I don't know if I'm the same person. I don't know that I can do that anymore. I was confident and I was determined, and a lot of that confidence had fallen away through the years. And, you're dealing with life and you're dealing with other issues, and all of that comes into play. When people speak something over you and you take it in, it repeats itself. It's like it's on this feed where it just keeps repeating itself. And the person may have totally forgotten that they said it, but in your head, it continues to go. So I needed to break that cycle.
So you replaced a thought. It wasn't just changing the thought. You took that thought and replaced it with something new and powerful that was true. Instead of a falsehood, a believed perception, you put the truth in there. Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
I was connected with a national who chose to mentor me, and I am so grateful. So it was the accountability that I had with her. It was the desire to be in her space, and to earn my spot in her space, I had to do so much work. Like there was kind of a quota on what I had to do in order to be in her space. And for me, it was worth that price. So you have to find that. That's why they talk about all the time. You got to find your why. You got to find that need that you would walk on hot coals for, like that thing that's going to drive you no matter what, no matter how hard it is. You're not going to think about how hard it is. All you're thinking about is where it will take me, what it will do for me. But you can still have that. But if you don't have the accountability to go with it, you're still in the same cycle. And if you don't change the way you think, and if you don't change the way you feel about yourself, and you don't change your determination. I mean, because I've always wanted to achieve great things in Mary Kay. It's not that I didn't want to. It's that I allowed other thoughts to replace my positive thoughts, even though I've always been somebody for affirmations. I've always been someone for quiet time. And, when I was thinking about what was it that was really different about this year, and what is it that really made the difference, it was that I had someone that I wanted to be in their space, and they gave me the accountability, and they did not listen to any excuse. No excuse. So, and it's not that they don't care. She cares very much about me. So it wasn't that. It was that I needed to be at a certain level. And what you find out is you can do that level no matter what your circumstances are. We tend to think that if we have a lot of things going on, then we cannot do certain things, right? Okay, right. So I'm in a different state than my home state right now. And so you would think, oh, well, you just can't work because you're in another state. No, you figure it out because you're smart and, you're a grown woman. You can figure it out. You figured out how to plan your own wedding. You figured out how to, book a vacation. You figured out how to, whatever things, you figured out how to handle 3 kids. You figured out how to, take care of a husband and do all this. You figured out how to handle all the schedules of ball practice and dance recital and band practice and school things. Like, you can figure it out. And if you can't, if you feel stuck, you have to know who to ask. So you have to look at, do I ask the person who's in the ditch with me, or do I ask somebody who's outside the ditch to help me get out of this ditch, who's probably been where I am and made it out? So I need her opinion on how to get out. So I love that.
I love that, because that's one of the things that I always want to talk to people about is who influenced you. Who in this last 12 months did you read, did you listen to, who was speaking into you? And it sounds like this person, this national, who is the top of the top, they're like the 0.5% of our industry in Mary Kay. Right. This person was allowing you in her space so that she could mentor you, but you were hearing her even when she wasn't physically probably on Zoom, but was it within your space? She was in your space. You allowed her in your space.
Yeah.
So the words that she was speaking into, you probably thought, okay, I don't want to be the one that has to tell her I didn't do it because I just didn't do it.
Exactly.
So it was some accountability, but accountability even to yourself, it sounds like, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were accountable to her, but you were accountable to you and the way you felt about what you were doing, because coming from your industry and a background of being in healthcare, you love people, you're passionate about people, you want to help people. That's why you went into it. And that's when I was reading your accolades, that was one of the things you said that brings you joy in this business, is helping other women either feel good about, finding the right lip color or finding a career that she just fits in, that fits her and her family. So taking that and running with it, and the accountability, if I'm understanding right, really helped you hone in on doing what needed to be done.
Right.
Is there anybody else in the last 12 months that really influenced you?
Well, I have always, Jesus is number one. He's always been that. You cannot replace that quiet time. You cannot. And I know for people out there, if you don't know what I'm talking about a real relationship with your creator. It's not just, quoting a scripture somewhere. It is like actually having time where you meditate with his presence. Like, what do I need to do? where's my life going? Being grateful. Oh my stars. Got to start with the gratitude, because when you work from gratitude, the whole world opens up. But if you work from victim mentality and despondency and anger and hatred, you're going to end up in the same place. You're probably lower, actually. You're not going to get anywhere. So gratitude gets us a long ways. But the other thing is that years ago, when I broke through this business, I had the voice of 2 other national sales directors. And at that time we had cassette tapes and they were playing in my car all the time. Like, I think my girls could probably quote a lot of these ladies, but you know how you heard something great, but you kind of let it go. Well, I got their stuff back out because I was wanting to get to that level again. And so do you want to hear their names?
Yeah, go ahead. Share their names. Sure.
Okay. Well, Tina Holzman is the national that I'm working with now. But in my past, it was Linda Tupin and Pam Shaw, who neither one of them would probably know who I am. But they are both voices that when I would think, I don't know what to do, oh, well, Linda Tupin did this, or Pam Shaw would say this. And so I listened to them over and over and over again till their voice was in my head. This year, I did even a lot of other things, like the Atomic Habit, forget the name, the author, but that has been a really good book because, he talks about how if you want to change your life and you think you got to change like 50% of your schedule or whatever. And he talks about, no, you start with 1%, start with just changing 1. And as you compound that, it turns into something bigger. So for instance, when Tina Holtzman told me I had to have 40 bookings, at one time, and I had to do that in a 3-day period. That was a huge jump. So that was a dramatic change in my life and I didn't know how I was going to maintain that. And so the Atomic Habit really helped me because then I was able to say, okay, so I change this one thing today. Okay, so I've got that in place. Okay, now tomorrow we're going to work on this. And so I'll get that done. And the next day it was this. And so that applied to my discipline. It just applied to actually my eating habits. It's everything.
I loved that you were talking about the people that were speaking into you and that you talked about Jesus, because it's the same thing with scripture. When sometimes you're reading the Bible and you're reading the Bible, and other times the Bible is being read to you. Like, you're like, I just read that and it's me. Like, this scripture has not changed in thousands of years, but this is new. So for you went back to, you knew what works well, and that those principles, those success principles they were sharing that they lived are still the same, even during the pandemic. Yeah. So, yeah. So they were reading to you and speaking into you. Now you had to make the effort to go get it, go find it, put it in. Did you have a tape player? I'm impressed.
I didn't have a cassette player. I had a lot of stuff on CDs. And so I went back and got things on CD. And then I also with the help of a consultant, learned how to download some things. I didn't actually learn how to download. Let me be clear. She downloaded it for me so that I could use it.
Well, there you go. You also learned the art of delegation, which was, I need this done, and my mind space doesn't need to absorb this. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes as women, we think we need to do it all. There's this list, and we aren't the best always at delegating. So leaders delegate. So you learned to delegate, I bet, this last year too.
And and I'm very comfortable with that. And then my brain was open to what I needed to be focusing on. And to make it sound like all I did was work, I did not. I did family time. I have done, fun things. There are times that I just need to watch something funny. And so I'll watch videos or I'll watch Big Bang Theory or something, that just makes me laugh. You have to be in tune with what you need emotionally and what you need physically. And by changing my diet, obviously, reason I would do this kind of harsh diet is for health reasons. And my health has improved dramatically. And as that has improved, it's given me more energy and given me more clarity of mind and just in a lot of things. So it just all starts working together.
That is so powerful, because you're right. It's one change. It's one little thing that it's like when you drop the rock in the pond and it does that ripple thing. It's a ripple effect that we sometimes think when we're setting goals. We sometimes set these big grand ones and they're so big that we're like, we just shut down. We just shut down instead of doing that atomic habit. I'm going to go look that up, where it's that 1% change that affected in an upward and got you to bigger goals. And I imagine things happened that you weren't in a positive way. Things happened that weren't even in the realm of goals. This was my goal, and this is what happened. And it's a result of, just like with the health, that your goal with this diet was to feel better, but you didn't realize that not only you're going to feel better, you're going to sleep better, you're going to have more energy, you're going to have better mental energy, you're going to have a better attitude because you've got better mental energy, you're going to be happy, the ripple effect is so positive. And I also love that you said, I know what I didn't work all the time. Like I make it sound like 55% increase. Most people will go, oh my gosh, that had to be so much work. And it was consistent work. Consistent.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. Yeah.
But I love that you filled yourself with joy, but it wasn't, because sometimes we distract instead of reward. So for you, those got to be a reward, which gave you joy rather than guilt afterwards, which is, well, I should have been doing. You were like, no, I did. And I didn't hang on the result. I did the work and I didn't hang on the result. And I went, okay, I'm going to go watch Big Bang Theory right now, or I'm going to go read this book, or this is my creative distraction. Instead of it being a distraction, is a creative reward. So
it's just that the whole process it's exactly that. It's a process, but it comes from a decision. You have to decide, and you have to make that decision over and over again. Like I may have to make that decision 60 times in an hour. 60 times, it's I am choosing to do this. It is, I want to do this. Why am I wanting to do this? Putting it out there, people say it's just a decision. And that's what I used to say. Well, I decided that I wanted to do this. Why didn't it happen? Because along the way, I was forgetting that I had made that decision. And I would have to give her. So you've got to put something in place. And for me, it was the accountability on a daily basis, that I was going to show up to work, regardless of what my circumstances were. I was going to get my work done, because if you choose and you make that decision, you can do it. And it's not going to be pretty and it's not going to be perfect. But if you just keep going, you will get the results. And as your confidence builds, then the positivity builds and you start attracting more people. So after a while, it was, my results got bigger and better because I was bigger and better. My mindset was bigger and better. I became attractive to people. They wanted to be a part of what it was I was doing, instead of me feeling like I had to go out and find people,
Yeah, I love that. So you just summed it all up in that you've got to find you make the decision first, and you've got to find what's going to drive it. You've got to replace the negativity with positive and be mindful all the time, be present to it all the time. Like you said, sometimes it's 100 times a day I have to think about it and remind myself why. And then over the last 12 months, it kind of evolved into things you didn't anticipate. And, when you start becoming the honey, the bees are going to come, right?
Yes, that's really true. It's really true. And, for someone who is, if you're feeling frustrated and disgruntled about anything, stop lashing out at the people around you. You'll find they want to hang out with you.
Wow.
That
right there. Sum it all up right there. That's all we need to know.
So just, first of all, you have have to look at what kind of attitude do you have, and how are you projecting yourself? How are you projecting that attitude? And or if you're always a victim, that victim mentality of I can't because of this, then I try, but nobody will do this for me. And those are statements that are just going to keep you down. They're going to make you go in reverse. Those are not statements of victory. So like I said, I mean, it's decisions all day long.
Doing stuff changes your mindset too. Sometimes we get so caught up in I got to change my thoughts, but we forget that action always has to follow thought, and that action controls thoughts. So yeah,
so true. I know at one point I was in the depths of despair, as Anne of Green Gables would say, and I was talking to Tina on the phone, and she goes, "Okay, I just want you to just get on the phone right now, and I want you to see how many appointments you can book in the next hour." And I'm like crying and, blowing my nose, and she's like, "Just do it now," And so I get off the phone and I start doing that. And then what you find out is I'm thinking more about the other person. I'm not thinking about me anymore. And at the end of the hour, I'm good again. And I'm realizing, okay, I can't change anything that's happening over here, but I can change what's happening in front of me. And I choose, you have to decide what it is that you don't have control over. And the things you don't have control over, it doesn't matter. Being depressed and being upset about it only then affects me in it, that it makes 2 crises instead of 1.
Oh, well said. Well said. Well said. I think on that one, we're going to wrap this up. And thank you again so much for your time. Speaking of a lot, she's got a lot going on. People don't think she's sitting on vacation somewhere with her feet up right now. We were discussing before we started, there's a lot of family things happening that it's not easy. It's not easy. So I really, really, really appreciate your time. I appreciate your letting us in here for a few minutes so that we can get to know you better. And I know everybody that's watching this, they're going to love you just as much as I do, and even more. And when they see the name Twila Walker and stuff, they're gonna be like, "I know that lady." I know. And you know how you said people were speaking into you. You just got to speak into people, and somebody is going to replay this and go, "Yep. Oh, remember what Twila said? Remember that?" And you're speaking into people. When you put it out there, it goes somewhere. It has to go somewhere. So thank you for speaking in. And speaking to me, you spoke to me and encouraged me. I'm gonna write some notes, and I've got a new author that I need to check out. So thank you for that as well. So thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.